Veshatarine. This is not on. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 8. Text 8.
Yes.
Text 8.
8.
Krishna. Tasya haiva ena kunaka uchair etasmin krita nijabi manya sahar ahas tat poshana palana lalana prinana. No, this is very long. Prinana nudyane natma ayamaha uta yama purusha paricharayadaya ekaikashaha kali payena vihar ganena viyu jamanaha kila sarva eva davasan. Translation. Gradually, Maharaj Bharata became very affectionate toward the deer. He began to raise it and maintain it by giving it grass. He was always careful to protect it from the attacks of tigers and other animals. When it itched, he petted it, and in this way he always tried to keep it in a comfortable condition. He sometimes kissed it out of love. Being attached to raising deer, Maharaj Bharata forgot the rules and regulations for the achievement of spiritual life, and he gradually forgot to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After a few days, he forgot everything about the spiritual advancement. Purport. From this we can understand how we have to be very cautious in executing our spiritual duties by observing the rules and regulations and regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. If we neglect doing this, we will eventually fall down. We must rise early in the morning, bathe, attend Mangala Arati, worship the deities, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, study the Vedic literatures, and follow all the rules prescribed. All the rules prescribed by the acharyas and the spiritual master. If we deviate from the process, we may fall down, even though we may be very highly advanced. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.5, Yagya dana tapakarma natyajyam karyam evatat Yagya danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up, but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. Even if one is in the renounced order, he should never give up the regulative principles. He should worship the deity and give his time and life to the service of Krishna. he should also continue following the rules and regulations of austerity and penance. These things cannot be given up. One should not think oneself very advanced simply because one has accepted the sannyas order. The activities of Bharat Maharaj should be carefully studied for one's spiritual advancement. Translation again. Gradually, Maharaj Bharata became very affectionate toward the deer. He began to raise it and maintain it by giving it grass. He was always careful to protect it from the attacks of tigers and other animals. When it itched, he petted it, and in this way, he always tried to keep it in a comfortable condition. He sometimes kissed it out of love. Being attached to raising the deer, Maharaj Bharata forgot the rules and regulations of the advancement of spiritual life, and he gradually forgot to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After a few days, he forgot everything about his spiritual advancement. So you may ask, how is this possible? And the answer is given later. How is this possible that he forgot everything about his spiritual advancement? Just give me a minute, I have to find... I should have written the verse, but I didn't write the verse. I don't have my glasses, so I can't find it, but I remember the point. So, actually, Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, one of the purports later, he is asking this question: how is it that he could have fallen down and he have forgotten his spiritual advancement? And the answer, does anyone know the answer? No. The answer is that this was his choice. The verses that describe when he is becoming, when he has become a deer, got the body of a deer. He was thinking of a deer in the moment of death, and it explains why he became a deer, and it says that it was his choice. So he was punished for this choice. I mean, can you imagine? He was on the level of Bhava. It's incredible. When we will come to the level of Bhava, and from the level of Bhava, you can fall down like this. So, what we see in this situation, where he is expressing affection for the deer, we see that conditioned souls want to express their love, but towards other conditioned souls. And it's a funny situation. You have someone who loves you more than anyone else, but you want somebody else, and you want to enjoy loving exchange with someone else, with another conditioned soul. And Krishna also, when we come to the material world to forget. When we come to the material world to forget him, he doesn't leave us. He just stays with us as a super soul. And he even facilitates our forgetting. He facilitates our forgetfulness of Him and all our attempts to enjoy the material world. But then, when the conditioned soul becomes tired of trying to enjoy the material world, then Krishna starts to interfere in this enjoyment program and start to make trouble. And you want to enjoy something, but you cannot enjoy it, or maybe you don't have karma to enjoy it, and then we see this amazing, incredible song in the 11th canto of Avanti Brahmana, who says, "The Lord must be merciful unto me because He is giving me so much trouble." So who can pray like this? Who can think like this? People usually, devotees also, usually they think that the Lord is merciful where there is some material comfort. Like you get Mahaprasadam, you get some facility, there is no rain. No, like materially comfortable things, you say, God is merciful to me. But He is saying, the Lord is merciful because He is giving me so much trouble, so that I can become serious in spiritual life. So who can think like that? So that's one of the fascinating verses in the 23rd chapter of the 11th canto, the song of the Avanti Brahmana. And then another one that Lord Chaitanya used to quote a lot, that describes the determination of Avanti Brahmana: I shall cross over the ocean of material existence by being engaged in devotional service with unbreakable determination. So we see this. We can compare these two situations where Maharaj Bharata gave up his spiritual practice, and Avanti Brahmana was determined to have his spiritual practice no matter what. Nothing could stop him. No material impediment or no material trouble could stop him to practice Krishna consciousness. And people sometimes, when there is trouble, they think God has left me. They lose faith. Like we had in the seminar some questions that, what if people lose faith? What to do then? How to help them get their faith back? But the question is, do they want to have faith? Do they want to have the faith back, their faith back? Do they want to believe in God? Do they want to believe that He is Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, that He is the best friend of everyone, including themselves? So once I was talking to one devotee who is an astrologer, and he was speaking about some other devotee, and I say, so you have done chart for that devotee? Well, I didn't ask him to reveal, this is confidential. I said, so what are you, what do you think? What do you think of this devotee and his chart? He just said one thing. He said, doubt is the best excuse. Doubt is the best excuse. So if you doubt, if you have no faith, so you have an excuse to remain in Maya. I have doubts about Krishna, about ISKCON, about everything. I have doubt that the deity is God. I have doubt that Prabhupada is bona fide. And therefore, what will I do? I will just remain in Maya. Just remain in Maya. And maybe have some mode of goodness, spirituality, New Age spirituality, where I, spice up my material life with some mode of goodness, but without God, no God. So most of so-called spirituality and religion today is actually trying to create kingdom of God without God. Sometimes people think that, like Pragosh Prabhu, who is Srila Prabhupada's disciple, famous Sankirtan devotee, he wrote me a very heavy letter once. He said, what is this Gita coaching? Is this something new age? Before I challenge you publicly, please explain. And I explained to him. And if you see these 3 points here, you may see, wow, this sounds really new age, empowering confidence, and then enthusing the heart, and what was the middle one? Stimulating creativity. This really sounds new age. But actually behind it, there is second parts of these sentences that are not there. So I wrote once a blog, what do I think of self-help? And I explained what I think of self-help. Because people think Gita coaching is some mix, like new age, some stuff, or something wishy-washy or watered down, but actually it's not. So there is so many ways to find excuses how to avoid God, even under the plea of spirituality, religion, so many things, mode of goodness and things like that. But actually this will not help us become liberated. People become fascinated, even devotees become fascinated with healers, with people who have some psychic powers. But these people are not liberated souls, and therefore they cannot help us to become liberated. They become fascinated with some healing power, or that they can see our past life, or they can see maybe your subtle body and different blocks or whatever. This may be helpful if the healer is a devotee, and they can direct you towards Krishna after they help you. But actually, just having these powers is not spiritual. It is not spiritual. It is subtle, more subtle than gross skills that somebody have, but it's not spiritual. So we are not fascinated by these things. Some magicians used to come and do different things and in front of Srila Prabhupada. And he would say, but can you help me get free from birth and death? So one has to seek the association of a liberated soul if one wants to become liberated. And yesterday in the class the point was made that actually Bharat Maharaj didn't have association. This is one of the reasons he fell down. He was just with his own mind. But whether you have association or not, you have to make your decision. And here it is said the reason why he fell down is his choice, his decision. So there is, like in one time management system, there is this principle, exercising integrity in the moment of choice, or you can translate it differently. You can say demonstrating sincerity in the moment of choice, especially when no one is looking. So Maharaj Bharata had a moment of choice, and he has chosen to give his love and affection to an animal, which is in the mode of ignorance, instead of choosing to give his affection to God. And it doesn't mean that he should, like yesterday we spoke after the class, so what he should have done, he thought, okay, let this deer just drown and die because it's his karma or whatever. No, very, very nice explanation was given that he could have saved it like as he did, and then preach to the deer or chant to the deer or feed prasadam to the deer. That would be a good thing to do, and not abandon, not neglect his own spiritual practice and worship. Put the deer on the side, finish your things, then you can feed prasadam the deer and chant to the deer. So he could have done that. And if he would have had the association of devotees, then they would tell him, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing, Maharaj? You're not doing your worship, you're just cuddling or fondling fondling the deer, and you are forgetting. So therefore, when we are in the association of devotees, they remind us if we do something wrong. They say, why are you doing this? I mean, this is not Krishna conscious. What are you doing? And then, but there is, the mind can trick you with subtle excuses. There is also in these verses, there is some explanation. Well, because he was compassionate, he wanted to save the deer, and there was some like moral principle behind, or principle of love behind, but this is not spiritual. Arjuna also was giving excuses in the Bhagavad Gita, different Vedic excuses, but they were not strong arguments, and Krishna explained to him that you sound like a learned man, but actually you don't understand the philosophy. You don't understand the philosophy. So, the fact of life is that we are always tested. We are always tested every day. Will you choose Maya or Krishna? And sometimes it's good to stop and ask myself, is what I'm doing now right? Is what I'm doing now right? Is it according to Vedic prescriptions? Is it according to Shastra? Am I acting according to the instructions of Acharyas at this particular moment or not? And if the conclusion is no, then we have to do something about it. We have to change the course. So demonstrating sincerity in the moment of choice, especially when no one is looking, will actually impress Krishna, I believe. It will impress him when he sees that we are not only trying to look like a devotee in front of others, but that we are actually the devotee in the heart, deep in the heart. And that we are always a devotee, not only in front of others, trying to be dressed as a devotee, or walk as a devotee, or talk as a devotee, or, say Jai and things like that. But that in our heart we think of Krishna, and we don't want to be a hypocrite. So this Kali Yuga is the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, and we can see that actually there is a lot of quarrel and hypocrisy in Kali Yuga, sometimes even amongst devotees, and we have to root that out. And then Vishnupriya Mataji was saying about small deers. She was saying, I have many small deers. You remember? She said, I have many small deers. So what we can ask ourselves, what are my small deers? What are my attachments in this world? And see how we relate to this, and how we can engage this in Krishna's service in some way. In the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, it is said, in Krishna's teachings to Uddhava Gita, it is said that one who gives Krishna something that is most dear to him earns eternal life. And then in the purport, Hridayananda Maharaj and Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu speak about giving your wife, giving your children, giving your money, whatever one has as an attachment, that he can offer that to Krishna. So Maharaj Bharata could have offered the deer to Krishna, but not by killing it and offering it as meat, not in that way, but offer in a sense that help this deer to become Krishna conscious in some way. And give him prasadam, chant the kirtan. Maybe he didn't have a MP3 player to play kirtan through the speakers, but he could have sang some kirtan to him, and maybe the deer would dance a little bit to the kirtan. So help the deer to become Krishna conscious. That's the best way to express love. So we are not against love, but we are against love based on the skin disease or the bodily relation, because this is temporary and this is illusory and this doesn't bring eternal happiness. Therefore, to make someone Krishna conscious is not easy, and to attract someone to Krishna consciousness is not easy, and it's also very difficult to maintain a devotee. You know, you can maybe attract devotees, but to maintain a devotee, to help them stay in Krishna consciousness is not easy. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said that you have to spend gallons of blood to make one devotee Krishna conscious. And at some point, Srila Prabhupada would say, we have now enough devotees, now let us train them to become first-class preachers and boil the milk. And instead of increasing the number of neophyte devotees, help devotees to become mature, come to the Madhyama level, become preachers, become representatives of God, and become moons instead of stars. But we see that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, in one instance, he has shown how much he values every devotee. There is this eternal dilemma amongst managers: projects or people? What's more important? So I had this experience with one leader of ISKCON that I was perplexed. I didn't understand his comment, his reply. So what happened is that I think one of his disciples' father died, and she was in so much pain. She was very much attached to her father, and this leader, he wanted to console her, and he hugged her. But it wasn't appropriate thing to do because he is a Swami. And he is famous as strict, very strict. But when I heard this, I thought, wow, that's amazing. I would never imagine he does this. So when there was one occasion where devotees glorified that devotee leader, then I said this in front of everyone, but I also wrote him a letter that wow, Maharaj, this is amazing that you have, you're so compassionate, you're so personal in this situation when your disciple, a lady disciple, was in so much pain, and you hugged her, you consoled her. And then he replied to me something that confused me completely. He said, yes, I'm always project-oriented. I thought he will say, yes, I'm also people-oriented, but he said, I'm always project-oriented. So I was confused. I never clarified this with him. I should. Why did you say this? What did you mean by this? So if people ask me people or projects, what is more important, then I say, well, without people you cannot have projects. But some people think that, okay, let people come and go, but let the project remain. So this is also, one way to look at things. Let people come and go, but let the project remain and let me remain, because, I'm a steady devotee. So someone may think like this. And but now, okay, let us look at the story of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. When there was a big festival, and then one devotee was not there, and he was asking the brahmachari who left the association of devotees. And Maharaj, I don't know what happened here. If somebody can remind me, he refused to do something, if anybody remembers, until they find him, something like that. Maybe refused to celebrate the festival or something. And then he sent somebody to find him, and they found him. He was working in some watch repair shop. They found him. So maybe this was the occasion when he said that we spend gallons of blood to make one person a devotee. So we can ask ourselves how much we value devotees, how much we value each and every individual. And of course, if somebody is lazy or crazy, we cannot keep them in the temple. But if someone is sincerely trying to serve, then every devotee is valuable. Every devotee is valuable. So when we speak about devotee care, we discuss these things, like how should we deal with anyone? And is everyone important, or only some are important? So sometimes we can discuss these things and see how we look at these things, and what acharyas have done, how Srila Prabhupada had dealt also with such situations. Srila Prabhupada was also always very caring about any disciple, and those who left, who fell down, he wanted them to come back, and we have so many examples. There is a book that I have shared with Sri Manjari, and I believe Nitya Kishori also copied it. It's called Care Personified. It's a compilation of quotes, of anecdotes of Srila Prabhupada's care for devotees in different areas. There is like 5-6 sections, how Srila Prabhupada cared for devotees, for their health, for their money, for different things, material needs also. So sometimes, taking up the service of a leader is actually very, very risky thing. Being in charge is a risky thing. It's like a razor's edge. I have seen so many leaders misusing their position and offending so many devotees and falling down. It's a very dangerous position. Being in charge. It's a very responsible. One has to be very careful what he does and how he thinks and what decisions he makes, because he can ruin his spiritual life by offending so many devotees. So this is something to think about. And then I just want to mention something else about doing like weird things which we say are bona fide based on the Shastra. Like for example, in one place Srila Prabhupada says in the purport of Bhagavad Gita that we all know that Vaishya is lying, but he says that I'm doing everything for my customers. So one may say, oh well, we can lie when we are selling something, and then Srila Prabhupada also said, you know how to catch a fish without getting wet. How to say something in a way that will attract people to take the book. And Prabhupada was asked, should we lie when we distribute books? And sometimes it seems like Prabhupada would say, yes, you can lie, but you are lying for Krishna. Then devotees sometimes say, well, I can also steal for Krishna and things like that. But then why there is so many instructions about being moral, acting in the mode of goodness, honest, why there is like tons of instructions like this also? So sometimes it's confusing what is the right thing to do. Also Kshatriya can lie, also sometimes people say this, sometimes Kshatriya can lie. So I try to understand this myself, so what is the right thing there? What is the right thing there, Because you can use things in the Shastra to make an excuse to actually do the wrong thing. You can use things from the Shastra to do the wrong thing. And not only you will harm others, but you will also harm yourself by doing the wrong thing based on Shastra. You say, I'm following Shastra, I'm lying. I'm a Kshatriya, I'm lying. So I'm following Shastra. So how we can understand this? Well, I tried to explain this to myself, and I came to a conclusion that it depends on the motive, it depends on the consciousness of a devotee. Why are you doing it? For example, if you don't say the whole truth to someone, it may sound like lying or cheating, but actually this person at that moment maybe cannot understand something, but you have their best interest at heart. You have their best interest at heart. Your motive is very important when you are doing something which is on the edge or weird. But if you are doing it to manipulate and for your own interest, you get heavy load of karma for this. I'm 100% sure. So it's not easy always to understand how we should follow the scriptures, how we should apply it to our daily decisions and daily activities. And there is this, like, it's not easy. One has to be very intelligent. Sometimes you can be too sentimental, too lenient, and sometimes you can be too hard, too strict on people, too hard on people, and make mistakes. And the best is golden middle. You know, one has to be able to find some decision that is a golden middle. It's not easy. Therefore, we discuss with devotees, we ask seniors, they have better compass, they have so much experience, they have went through so many things, and then we can, you know, when we consult with devotees, then we can come to a right conclusion, what is the best decision to do about anything, you know, kicking someone out, whatever. And so therefore it is said that spiritual life is like a razor's edge, because you can shave yourself nicely or you can cut yourself. Therefore one has to be careful very much. And again, it boils down to the point that it will come later in one purport, and the point is personal choice. Bharat Maharaj made a choice. That's why he was punished. He has chosen to actually somehow give his love and get attached to a deer, small deer, you know, like conditioned soul. So you may ask, what's wrong with that? I have pets at home. I don't have pets, I never had pets, but somebody may say, I have pets, I love my pets, so what's wrong with that? So can you tell me what's wrong with that? Is it wrong or not? I mean, to love my cat and dog? And how shall I combine it with worshipping Krishna? So if anybody wants to comment, you're welcome on the pets. Yes?
When you were telling this about Maharaj Bharat and how he was affectionate with you, I remember also like similar, it's not similar, but when you were saying about Shivananda Sen and how he became attached to this dog and he saved him, and because of him this dog immediately went to spiritual world. And he was also like lamenting, like, oh, where is this dog? He's also the part of our Sankirtan group.
Wonderful. Well, this is a wonderful story, thank you. But he was liberated by prasadam, this dog. And so the whole so this is a good example of dealing with an animal in a Krishna conscious way, even if you are attached. This is a wonderful example, thank you. Yeah. Anything else? Yes?
You say in the beginning, normally when we get misery, then Krishna gave us our mercy. It's written by Avanti Pramana. Does this mean when I have comforts, then I don't have the mercy of Krishna? Can you explain the concept?
Well, it's easier to see mercy through comfort than through trouble. That was my point. So, of course, when there is facilities, I mean, every time I enter a room, I thank Krishna. Thank you for giving me this peace, giving me this room. Now I have a whole floor upstairs because nobody's there. And I'm grateful for peace. But I mean, if devotees are there, for me it's not a problem. But if you have to do some intellectual work or write or talk to people privately, then you need some separate, like, private place. And I don't take it for granted that, you know, I deserve it, I'm a preacher and this. No, every time we have to thank for every facility that we have, prasadam that we get every day. We don't take it for granted. It's a great mercy. All these facilities and comforts, and Yesterday I was walking down the hill and the beautiful sun was shining on me, and I was walking on concrete, but it's also earth below. And I thought, wow, the earth is holding me and the sun is warming me. And I felt grateful for this. So both things are mercy, but we tend to see mercy more through the things that are pleasant. We don't see mercy to things that are unpleasant. And Avanti Brahmana was able to do that. So we learn from him how to see mercy in things that are unpleasant. It's so hard to do. If somebody attacks you, starts to criticize you, you're this and this and that, we immediately want to defend, like anything, and attack them or counter-attack. That's the best defense. So, I remember in European zone, there was, for a long time, nobody complained about one leader. And then devotees started to criticize him that he was taking too much advantage of the facilities and things. And so he was a disciple of my ex-guru. And I remember, so he was defending a lot himself for whatever he has done. And then I remember Harikesh Maharaj told him, he said, your only mistake was that you were defending yourself. You should just shut up and listen and apologize, whatever. You were so defensive about things that actually you have done wrong. And also, the great lesson from the Avanti Brahmana story is that he didn't blame anyone. Who can do that? He didn't blame anyone. He was tortured. He went through so many things. He could have blamed God. He could have blamed people. He could have blamed, fate, destiny. He said, no, these people are not the reason for my happiness or distress. The mind is only the reason which keeps me getting new bodies, material bodies, getting born. The mind, his own mind. So he's taking full responsibility for his distress, his trouble. That is high consciousness. Taking full responsibility for his misery. It's so amazing, so fascinating. And one verse 57 from the chapter 23, was quoted by Lord Chaitanya a lot. I shall cross the ocean of material existence by being engaged in determined devotional service. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Okay, anything else? Last question, comment? Yes?
Maybe a long question. I remember one verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita where it is said, if you satisfy Krishna's senses, it means prema, and if you satisfy your senses, it's called kama.
Yeah.
And in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter GOLOKA, it is said that devotees, they associate with each other, like preaching to each other and talking about Krishna. And my question is how to make this difference that we now are associating with this devotee on this spiritual platform, but in connection with Krishna, but not on the material platform. How make this difference so that Krishna will be satisfied?
Well, it depends what you are talking about. If you're talking about spiritual advancement, you're talking about Krishna consciousness, that's spiritual association. If you're talking about how to overcome obstacles, how to purify the heart. But if you're talking about some mundane things or about, maybe marriage.
Can be like situation like this when you are very attached to the person and you cannot speak spiritual things, you think only on
It can be, this situation can be, but that is Maya. So we have two nice devotees who love each other and they are in Maya. And they are not helping each other. So therefore, I was giving this course on success partnerships, so to develop success partnerships, to develop spiritual association, high-class Vaishnava association, quality association, and to set goals, work on Krishna conscious goals, to speak about improving our spiritual practice, our increasing our devotion to Krishna, and helping each other overcome obstacles. Yeah, you can be in Maya with a devotee also. A lot. If he is in Maya, you're in Maya, so your association is in Maya, although you are devotees. So, yeah, this can happen. It's true. Did you want to say something? No, you had your hand, you were waving to someone. You were waving to someone. Okay, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Oh, sorry. This has to be untied this one first. Sorry. Może sala,